if we put the numbers together, how can you tell me the market is slow when you get CYCC doing stuff like this, when you get XAGE, being up like that, right? When you get IC Shell having 528 million shares being traded, how can you tell me the market is slow? But it's not slow. It's just that we have a lot less tickers running today, which is better, right? But there is still a lot of volume, I would say, trapped in between these movers over here, which is why it makes the runners a little bit difficult to focus on. Nevertheless, it is still a very good day, right? Last trade for CYC didn't work out. All right, last trade for CYC didn't work out. Part of the game, right? You have to try it. If let's say it doesn't yield move, then that try would have been worth it, right? If not, so be it. That was, I think, a losing trade for the day, right? But it's fine. We got pretty good wins in the morning as well, and two big wins as well, right? So overall, in the grand scheme of things, this is completely okay. And the fact that this ticker was able to do stuff like this, even though there's no catalyst, right, it just makes it very impressive already. And I'm not mad that this thing didn't go higher, right? It is what it is, okay? All right. So I will still be holding on to the rest of my shares over here. All right, I'll be still holding on to the rest of my shares over here. Until this thing loses 29 cents, right, for the rest of my shares. If not, I'll be looking to see whether we can fill this entire gap up to 57, 58. I know there are a lot of social media hype on this, so just be mindful. All right, we did have a very nice move over here. Ever since we got this flag breakout, this thing never looked back, and then we make new highs, and that's honestly very nice. But we haven't really lost our trend. We haven't really broke down, to be honest. If we look at this over here, right? So I'll just be kind of holding for the rest of my shares over here until we at least lose 30 cents, then I'll close it out. If not, I'll continue riding it. Maybe we see more because 529 million shares, that is a lot of shares being traded today. All right, compared to this daily average. So something is cooking over here. There's something going on over here. Okay. All right. But under 30, I'm cutting. Okay. So back to what I said yesterday. Remember, again, it's not like the market is slow, right? The market is not slow. It's just there are a lot of things moving, right? There are a lot of things moving, and it's very difficult, right? It's very difficult for you guys to kind of focus on, what you call it. It's very difficult for you guys to kind of focus on what is running and what's not running. So after knowing exactly what happened yesterday, where I took a little bit more of a slower approach today, right? Again, see, we gotta adapt. And things definitely look a lot better, right? If we look at whatever happened in pre-market, it was a lot cleaner. There wasn't a whole lot of plays being called out, right? Because I didn't want to force too much, right? If we look at this XAGE, this was a nice trade. Right? It wasn't anything big, right? I wanted this move on XAGE over here. I wanted this 70 and push, right? I wanted it over here, but it never happened, right? So over here on this note, okay, you can see that we had over here, I got this I got entries over here, right? We got a nice push to 540s. And this 540s is a very big level, right? This 540s essentially is just a very big level throughout the rest of the throughout the entire session, if you guys can see. We got a rejection here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So this is just an intraday level, it's nothing special, all right? It's just something that you guys can see. And initially speaking, my stop loss is underneath 47.5, right? But at 7 a.m., we actually got this pop, I think. Let me see. Yep. At 7 over here, we got this pop all the way to 540s, which is a big level again, right? We should already know based on the data we've seen for the past few times. So this is also not a big level for us. So I trimmed some profits over here, and then unfortunately the setup broke down, at least on my current structure, right? The setup broke down, and I had to close out the rest of my shares to keep myself green. But does it mean that, right? Does it mean that doesn't mean that the structure is done? No, right? Because if we look at this on the 5-minute chart, it's still holding on to this very nice uptrend. You guys see that? It's still holding on to this very nice uptrend, right? So for me, but I can't take this into I can't. How am I supposed to put this? I cannot say that, hey, you know what? The trend's still holding on over here, right? Let me just ignore this stop loss and hold on to here to see whether it would bounce. Because what if this doesn't hold and it goes down, right? My plan when I take my trade over here was to have my stops on the 475. It went up. I took my profits. I raised my stops up to protect my trade over here. Okay, sure, the trend is holding on this, that's fine. But for me, if I want to revisit this again, I'll revisit this again if it tests this trend line, confirms strength, I'll get back in again if I stop underneath this trend. And that's exactly what happened on the second trade. But it was way too quick, right? Again, it's pre-market, these plays moves very quickly. So it's a little bit hard for me to keep you guys updated real time. I try to, okay? But SXTP for me, this one was just again one of those plays where we had a very nice move, right? We had honestly this thing was quite scammy, I would say. It had a move yesterday, went all the way down, had some PR this morning, and then the price just pretty much just went all the way crazy up. Now, 410 was a big level for me, right? 410 was a big level for me, so I wanted to see how high this thing can actually go before we actually needed to wait for it, right? I want to see how far this thing can actually go. So this thing, if you guys notice, right, ever since from the news itself, let me show you guys 410. All right, so 410 is over here, right? So somewhere around here. So ever since this thing had the news itself, right? Ever since this thing had the news, I can see how big this is. So ever since this thing had the news itself, right? And also 410 was also yesterday's highs before this thing went all the way down. So this is a very big level for me. So but what you can see is that this ticker on this very same exact candle went from 189 all the way to 378. Now, for a lot of you guys over here who are new, right? Many you guys keep saying, why don't you alert this move over here? Why don't you alert this move over here? The only answer I can give you guys is that it's impossible. Right? It's impossible for me to alert this entry over here because by the time you guys look at the alert and you guys go and you guys check it, it's already gone. This is what we call a news pop candle, right? It's impossible to alert these. If you are watching the news scanner in trading chat and you add this over here, you can probably catch the move to the upside. But then again, how do you know that every single candle on news is going to do something like this? So it really is, like I said, hit or miss. Right, so what comes after that is for me to find the setup for you guys after consolidation, and that is a little bit difficult, right? Because sometimes these plays went from 194 to 455. This is at least up. How am I supposed to put this? This is at least up. Let me see what's that yet. 132% already, right? Just in 2 candles, and that is huge, right? Thinking back, if we ignore whatever happened last week, 132% is huge. So it pulled back, right? We had some nice, you can see, right? It pulled back over here. We had some very nice rejection off VWAP, but then price reclaimed it and started to base on it, right? So over here, once we got this 410 breakout, we also had this very, very nice flag pattern over here, as you can see, right? Big form. So I kept my stop very tight. And at the moment we lost this, I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm out. And then so be it, right? It was worth a shot. It's either we're gonna continue basing on this, break through this 410, and actually really have a candle close for this 420 level for more, or this thing is gonna be a resistance zone, and then we're gonna get knocked down, right? The news wasn't exactly anything great, right? So this thing did go down after the news pop. You see some plays though, right? Some plays they do actually instead continue going like this. Right, but some plays they do not. And it's impossible for you to know which one is going to do that, which one's not going to do that. All right, no amount of indicators, no amount of trend, no amount of setup, no amount of pattern is going to tell you if the stock is going to continue growing higher, which is why it's very important for you guys to always have a stop loss plan or respect it. Right, I did tell you guys that the action feels a bit heavy. I'll reduce my size on this, and then when we lost structure, I close it out for a small loss, and I move on. And then XAG at the same time also lost my structure. All right, you can see that. Right, XAG at the same time also lost my structure, and then I had to close it off. You see, for me, I trade what the chart's telling me. I'm not gonna be like, oh, let me hold on to this to see whether it recovers. Now, look, if let's say you guys are one of those guys that held on to the dip over here, right, and it actually went against your way, right, you're gonna think that every single play the next time, right, it's okay for you guys to hold through stop losses because this thing happened once, you're gonna think it's gonna happen again. So it's okay to hold through stop losses. You guys are gonna have that mindset. But what happens one day is that you're gonna end up being caught up in a ticker like let's see, in a ticker like what else we're in today? Let me see, SXTP, right? You're gonna be like, oh, you know what? I'm not gonna stop loss. I think this is gonna recover later. And look at what happened. This thing made new lows. So it's not a good mindset to have, even though you can be lucky 1 or 2 times, right? It actually goes recover, you avoid taking a loss. But it's not a good habit or mindset to form because at the end of the day, it doesn't benefit you at all. Right? Sure, you make money over here. Tomorrow, you trade, something doesn't work out. You don't respect the stop loss, right? And you end up taking a much bigger loss than usual. What's the point? Right? So you ended up just it's not a good mindset to have, right? Even though you did not take a loss over here and you actually make money, but who's to say that the next day tomorrow, right, you not respecting the stop loss is going to work out? What if you happen to go into a play like XXTP, right, and you don't respect your stop loss and it goes all the way down? What you gonna do? You know what I mean, right? What are you gonna do then? Are you gonna continue holding on to this and stuff? And when you start holding on to this, what happens, right? You start to have very big losses, and the whole cycle repeats. And this is something I keep hearing from a lot of you guys, right? You guys can have 1, 2, 3 great days, and then just one bad day, you guys lose everything. And it's not because you guys take a lot of losses. It's because one play doesn't work out, you don't cut your losses, you keep averaging down on losing plays, and you wonder why it's not working out. So it's this think of it this way, if your arm is poisoned, right? If your arm is poisoned and you have to chop it off. If not, it's going to spread to the other parts of the body. What you're going to do? You're going to chop it off, right? You're not going to just wait. Hey, you know what? Let me just take the risk and see if there's a cure by 1, 2 years time before blah blah blah. Right? Or not 1, 2 years time, because that one you might wait for a bit, right? But we're talking about something a bit more time pressing over here, which is day trading. So let's just say if you don't chop off this finger by 5 minutes, it's going to spread to your entire arm. So are you going to chop off your finger, or are you going to just let it wait for 5 minutes? You know what I mean? So same concept over here, right? Whenever a setup doesn't work out, please close your position over here because there's no guarantee that this is going to happen. Sure, if this thing reverses again, we take it. We re-enter again, which is exactly what I did. All right, we re-enter again. But the thing is, right, if it doesn't, I'm not going to look at it again. All right, so let me just talk about why. So again, XAG, why was I interested in this? Now, first off, this ticker had some news, right? It has some merger agreement with True Health. It's still going to stay, the ticker symbol is going to stay the same. And I'm not really a huge fan of merger tickers, but this is a low floater, right? Daily average volume is decently low. It's not the lowest, right? But it's something over there. And there's the valuation over here. It's a $79 million deal, which is a lot, right, compared to what XAG was before that. So this thing is pretty substantial. And there wasn't a whole lot of anything moving on. So once this thing broke down, my next thing, and I closed my position to keep myself green, right? The next thing I'm looking at is I want to see, will this structure actually hold on? Because if you guys look at this, right? If you guys look at XAG, to be honest, all right, this has been a beautiful structure since yesterday. Look at that. Even up to the midday session, right? This thing was still respecting this trend line, making a very nice reversal. But I'm not more focused about what happened over here. So when this thing lost my structure, but it retested the trend line and started to consolidate over here, what I saw was this pattern, right? What I saw was this pattern. We have a uptrend, right, over here. Right? We have a bear flag breakout. So this thing invalidated the bear flag, right? Generally speaking, what textbook says is that bear flag means the price is going to go down. That's not how it is. Remember what I said before. Setups, patterns, charts is just a guideline for you guys to it's just a guideline for you guys to know where to stop out, where to take your entries. It's like having road signs, right? It doesn't mean that bear flag means it's 100% bearish. No. Okay, so over here, right, we have this move, right, where this thing broke out, where this thing broke out of this where this thing broke out over here, right? Price went up. Okay, so now my first issue is that is this thing gonna break the 540 again? I mean, you guys can see, right? The 540 breakout was instantly squeezed. Look at that. This 540 breakout instantly squeezed over here. You see, right? This 540 breakout instantly squeezed over here. So I waited for a little bit more confirmation when I saw this candle, right, rejected this over here. You see that? So I was a little bit afraid, I wanted to wait for this to reclaim VWAP up first. And then the second time this thing attempted again, it formed this very ugly candle. Okay, it formed this very ugly candle. See that? Right. So if this thing is followed by a red candle, this thing might go all the way down. So I was a little hesitant first. But then next candle, volume started coming very strong. I took my entries at 5.25, 5.26. And you guys can see when I take my entries, and as I was typing this alert out to you guys, I mean, it's impossible for me to really just kind of get the alert out immediately for you guys, right? Because this one is very, very quick. My stop loss is under 480 because this is the current trend over here, right? I was using this high lows over here, around here. There we go. All right, I was using this high lows over here, right? But it was way too quick. On this same very exact candle, this thing started to just ramp up super hard. I mean, I caught it at 520s. I'm not sure if you guys can catch it at 530s, right? But this was still a very nice move. Now, I understand that because most of you guys cannot catch this move over here, right? Next thing we want to do is to see whether we can get any sort of high-low structure to hold. Now, look, over here, we have this high-low structure basing, right? This is the previous highs where a lot of rejections are happening. So when price has such an aggressive move to the upside, right, when price has such an aggressive move to the upside, all right, I did say, okay, you know what? So long as you get, if for those of you guys who missed it, right, find your entries at 6.2s and dips, stop loss under 575. Now, over here is I want to talk to you guys again. When I say stop loss under 575, it's not a hard stop. Unless I tell you guys here, guys, under this hard stop. Okay, it's not a hard stop. Remember this. I said this many times before. When I have my stop loss under a certain level, it's mental. Right? Mental means that you keep an eye on the price underneath this level. And if let's say it doesn't perform too well, you cut it yourself. Right? You're not there's no physical stop loss set, but it's something to let you guys know what you guys should be looking out for. Okay. So I think after I posted this, the price went down to $6, and you guys probably could have gotten even better entries than I have. And over here you can see that sure, price did go under 575, right? It did, right? But look at this, guys, right? Generally speaking, whenever something breaks down, okay, the next candle comes up after is a super hot flush. But if you guys realize what happened over here is that this thing was a very small red candle. And we're still actually holding on to this 575 level. It's you see, it's mental. Right? I could say 570, just to make everything just a 5 cents difference. I could say 570, that's fine too. Right? But I was trying to be a little bit more conservative because of the levels over here. Right. So but you still want to watch it. It's not a hard stop. Remember that. It's not a hard stop. It's a guide. Right. And you see that the breakdown didn't really form, or rather didn't really give you guys any sort of hard sell-off. Things are still fine. It's still okay. Right? I did not tell you guys, to get out and whatever. Did I say to get out? No. I was in BLMG, lost my structure. We did hit the targets. I explained this in the morning, so I don't want to go through this anymore. Right? But this one over here, I did not tell you guys to get stopped out. Right? So over here, I even told you guys, right? If nothing else flows, this one has huge range for more. If we breach and base was 625, and then from here went all the way up to 7 plus. Now, ideally speaking, over here we do have let me show you guys what I'm talking about, right? So over here we have a huge gap all the way to 910 over the 625 level. And that's the reason why, right? I was hoping for us to really get that push. Okay, you can see it's very nice. And gap fills are never guaranteed, right? Remember, it shows you the potential of where you can exactly sell your position, all right, and look for more. But it doesn't mean that it's going to hit that, right? So regardless, this is still a very nice play. You can see, 575 was actually trying to base on this for a bit as well, right? But again, this is pointless already, This is just support, right? Support doesn't mean that a stock's gonna hit this and go crazy. It's just support, that's it. Right. So it was still a very nice trade, it didn't have to trade a lot, right? Right the trend and stuff. And then after that, when this thing didn't really do anything, Kappa, we had a phase 2 result news over here, and I told you guys to watch the 120 breakout to take your entries and have your stop loss on 105. Right. And I think that one went pretty well as well, as you guys see over here. Right. This one went pretty well. Right. We went all the way from the 120 clear over here. Right, we went for the 120 clear, and then we started consolidating above this 105 level. Over here, as you guys can see, right? So this box over here is a gap that we have in the daily chart, which is exactly let me look at this, right? You see this small area over here? Let me move this over here for you guys to see. Right, you see this price gap over here? Right, so this is where the price was consolidating inside, if you guys realize. Right, at first, it seems kind of tough, right? Price was trying to break up, I couldn't. And every single time when price trying to break out, we see this sell-off candle. on other situations, like, hey, you know what? We gotta be very careful. We gotta be very careful and stuff, right? But I did say this before. When a resistance becomes very, very large or very, very strong, and you're unable to break out from it, if the next candle is red, be prepared to sell. I'm not telling you to sell straight away, but be ready to sell. Why do I say be? What do I mean be ready? Why do I say be ready? It's because there's a high chance the next candle may flush hard. But if the next candle doesn't flush hard, right? All these shorts over here trying to defend this level, what do you think is going to happen to them, right? Because we're not breaking down. Sure, they're trying, but we're not breaking down. So when we break out from it, we got a very nice move over here, right? We got a very, very nice move over here, right? All the way to 170, and then we went all the way to 188. Now 190 was a big key level to clear for more, but we couldn't really. Let me see, where is it? Yeah, we couldn't really break it. I mean, we got 2 cents away. It is what it is, right? But still a very, very beautiful trade. Now, for those of you guys over here who added over here, took profits over here and sold over here, right? No reason to. We're still inside the gap, right? Trust the chart. Okay, trust the chart. There's a high chance that this thing could just break down. Yes, then I get out. But if it doesn't, right, we stick to it. Because if not, you'll be leaving a lot of potential on the table when the chart has not broken down. Okay? All right, you can see it's there is no reason to panic. We did not lose our 21 EMA trend line. We did not lose our 50 EMA trend line, right? It was just pretty much riding all the way up. You see? Right? It's pretty much riding all the way up. It was consolidating, yes. Okay, and it does seem like shorts were about to win, but did we break down? No. Right? Seeming like shorts are going to win doesn't mean that shorts are going to win. Right? It's as long as we don't break down, it's just a recipe for us to squeeze shorts. That's it. Okay, so a very, very nice play over here. Now, now after this, I did not want to force anything anymore. Because I remember yesterday there was so many tickers jumping up and down, right? And I don't really like the fact that for us we always have to move around here and there. I just want to focus on one trade. And this ticker was trading at tremendous amount of volume. I was hoping for this to actually be one of the nice movers that we got today. But unfortunately, it was a little bit too heavy, right? But it's cool, right? Regardless, this is still a very nice move. Okay, so now the I would say that the reason why most of the stuff did not really work out today was truly just because of this ticker CYCC, right? Was truly because of the ticker CYCC. Now, there was no news over here, right? There's no news over here. And I did say that this is the same type of setup, right? Very, very similar structure to SQFT in the sense that no news, insane pre-market range moves, right? Insane pre-market range moves. There was no news on this, and yet price was still able to do a crazy move to the upside. Isn't it the same thing as what CYC did today? No news over here. Insane range, right? And then look, absolutely insane. Now, plays like this, all right, plays like this is where you really have to understand, right? What are you chasing? And if you're chasing, is it fun? Okay. I know I keep saying do not chase price, but there are some plays where you really have to. If you don't chase it, you're gonna miss it. You understand what I mean? If you don't chase the price, you're going to miss it. If you wait for dips, you can still probably find a good trade here and there, but you're gonna miss this upside move. Okay. So obviously, when you start chasing something, there always has to be some sort of structure, some sort of pattern that allows you guys to, chase it safely. All right, but obviously it's always gonna be a risk, right? If we look at S1 and yesterday, I chased the price over here, right? I did chase the price over here, end up not working out. I closed out at 15x instead of under 15, so it did reduce my loss a little bit, but you guys saw I took a 3.7 grand loss over there, right? But again, you can see, right? Tickers like CYCC, absolutely nothing was going on in the market. This thing was just going absolutely crazy, right? And I did not want to chase this. You see, initially what did I say? No entry setup for me because it just kept going all the way up, right? You can get quick scalps, but these are very quick to alert. So there was no way for me to chase. There was no entry setup. But when it halted up over a key level, I was convinced. Now, when you see a ticker going up like that, crazy, right? There is huge range for this. And if we look back, we can see that the top level on this was this. This is where the price had an insane move to the upside over 375 all the way to 988, and price went all the way down, right? And if you look at this, there was no candle close above this, right? So we marked this level 980 or whatever the case is. If we look to the left, right, I want you guys to see how the price is reacting to this level. Do you guys see how nice this is? Do you guys see how nice this is? But regardless, right? Regardless, even if, let's say, I would say 980 breakout, because of how much range this ticker has, I would not tell you guys to have a stop, under 982 itself. Because again, look, you see, if you look at this fluctuation over here, the price actually went all the way down to 910. Look at this candle. The price when it broke down to 982 at that same very exact candle actually went down to 910. Now, if you size in over here, right, can you stomach this 70 cents fluctuation? Difficult, right? It's gonna be a little bit difficult. So that's why it's better, okay, to have a range of stop loss whenever a ticker is whenever a ticker runs like that. All right, so once this ticker holds up, okay, I know my stop's gonna be in under 982 because this is a big key level. And psychologically speaking, $10 is also, it's very near 10. But for me, when I saw the structure over here, I know, okay, you know what? So long as the price stays above this level here, I'll take my entries, I'll play the dips, I'll scalp it up. That's fine. Because this ticker has a lot of range. I mean, there's no news on this. SQFT yesterday did not have news as well, but it still ended up making new highs. Remember that? Right? So, back-to-back same days, same structure. Why not give it a shot? A lot of you guys over here are like, oh, well, what if it dropped? Sure, but what if it goes up? You see, when you go into a trade and you be like, what if it dropped, right? Then you're afraid of it. You're afraid of taking losses, which is what's stopping you guys from making money. Right? Every single play, when you guys go in, your first mindset is that what if it drops? I mean, what stock does drop? What stock doesn't drop? Right? If you're afraid of taking losses, then you will never be able to get into this trade. But when you start to become fearless, and let's say when you guys are paper trading over here, would you even think twice about taking this position over here? No, you would just fucking add it, right? You would even tell me go as far as beyond to say you add 5,000 shares over here, right? I didn't even add that much, by the way, right? Because like I said, it was high risk. It could knife down as well. So I was playing around 1,000 to 2,000 shares. I wasn't playing 5,000 shares. But if you were paper trading over here, would you have went heavy? You would have. You probably wouldn't care, right? Because again, there was no emotions involved, right? So your emotions are the ones holding you guys back because the structure is structure. Right, so that's why when it halted up, I was convinced. So long as $10 holds, I could say 920, 980, like I said, I was rounding it up. Find your entries on open and dips for scalps. Right? This is something that we've been seeing for the past few days. I keep telling you guys, right? Add on open, find dips, have stops underneath that, run it up. SQFT was the same structure over here yesterday. Right. So over here, when price opened up, I took my entries at around 1150s. And I think this is something that a lot of you guys could have get through as well, because I know that one person, he was DMing me about this. Right, he got his position size over here at sorry, not this one. What is it? I think he got it at 1485 even. I think he got it at 1485 if I'm not wrong. Is this what this? Can't remember. Oh no, he got it 1157. Right, he got his position at 1157. Right, which is exactly what I got as well. I mean, I got somewhere at 1158 and stuff, right? But he got 1157, and look, you see. I was supposed to have a $10 stop loss. I ended up having a $7 move to the upside. This thing halted up, this thing halted up, this thing halted up. Boom. Crazy. But I did take most of my profits over here, as I told you guys, because I was afraid of this happening. You see, this is when this thing halted on at $15, it opened up at 13s. I was afraid that, we could have got that. So again, I still stand true, right? I'm not gonna come over here and tell you guys like, hey, I knew this was gonna happen. No. If you guys hear from the hints of my alerts over here and how I keep telling you to be careful, right? I never expected that to happen. But I know that the structure is there. And what I did tell you guys is that I let the market do the work for me. Right? When it wants to go, it will go. All right. The market, I cannot control the price, right? So I'll just respect the structure, I'll get in, let the market do the rest of the work. Okay. And for those of you guys who tell me, oh PBT, why don't you alert that you're in at 1157? Do you think there's time? If you guys were actually watching this price action together with me, by the time I tell you guys I'm in at 1150 something, and you guys get inside here, this thing would have been halted up. And then you guys will be like, oh, this is too slow. That's why I give you guys the plan first, right? The game plan to play. Stop this under 10. On open, add it, dips, buy more. Okay. All right. So very nice moves over here. This thing went 12.87, and then it halted up second time. This is where I took up 70-80% of my position. I did take both out at 14s because it was a crazy move, right? 11.50, so $14 in just 2 minutes, right? I have to take it, and then the rest I was slowly trimming out, and then we got a very nice move over here. Okay, I mean this is a big ass move on this, right? So obviously when a ticker doesn't have news and it still makes such a crazy move like that, the longer, right, the more halt ups you get, it increases the chance of you having a huge halt down candle. That can happen. It could not happen over here. This thing maybe halt up again, but when a halt down happens, you can see the price went from $17 to a low of $12. And you do not want to be that one person adding this at 17.50 without a stop loss. Because even if, let's say, you want to close out under $16 over here, right? You cannot because it halted down. By the time the price opened up, it would have been at 13. So you have taken a huge loss, even though you tell me that you have a stop loss plan, right? But it cut through it. You see? So when you play stuff like this, always remember that it can happen like that. But it could also happen together in our favor. All right, two sides to a point. So when there is whenever the ticker has huge potential to the upside, but also has huge potential to the downside, how do you protect yourself? By sizing down. Because when you size down, when this thing happens, okay, you take a loss, but when it goes up, you could also get very nice substantial amount of profits. Right? You don't need to size in big for this. I mean, sure, you can size in big and you may be lucky on this, but what if you're sizing big over here and price goes down? It's gonna sting, right? It's gonna be very nasty. And then what's worse is that you cut it and then it makes new highs later. Right? It's gonna suck. But then again, if you cut it, I would say that's a great thing to do rather than holding on, because this is gonna instill bad habits into you guys. Right? So it's still very good. You can see again, like I said, I'm not gonna come over here and tell you guys that, hey, I knew this was gonna happen, but I don't. Right? I don't see the future. I keep saying, like I said, don't. But as long as the trend holds, as long as it do not break down, right? We let the rest run. Okay. So the next thing is for PRRZ over here. For me, I wanted this to kind of make new highs, right? I wanted this to make new highs. We got a downtrend breakout move over here. You can see that. So I took my position at 122. Sorry, 120, right? But 50% size because it did feel a little bit heavy. Now when CYCC halted down over here at 1621 and then all the way down to whatever 12 plus, right? I was expecting PRZ to get the volume retention, and honestly, we did. PRZ went all the way down to 11.15 over here, and price went all the way up to 129, which is what? A huge rejection zone. You see that? You see that? And I mean, you can see the previous time price touched this, goes down. Same thing happened again. Right? I started this, or we break out and we squeeze, because this is a huge selling area. So I only have 50% size because first off, I wasn't sure what CYCC was going to do, right? If CYCC continues to halt up again, then man, there's a high chance that PRZ wouldn't continue. But it was good that CYCC halted down. We got volume rotating into PRZ, but we still couldn't break up from this 129. Now could I say that I could have taken some profits at 129? Yeah, sure. Okay, but I think we got a nice trade in the morning. Right, this is only 50% size. I was going to sit it out. I wanted to see a bigger move. It didn't happen. I closed off at 103, right? Took a small loss, 50% size. So we did give some profits, which is all part of the game. But you can see I was okay risking this for more because I was green, and whatever happens, it's still going to be green, right? I wasn't full size over here. I was 50% size because of CYCC and the uncertainty behind that. So I was just kind of playing around it, I would say. Okay, all right. So now ICHL, very simple, right? This is a very technical setup right here. We were inside the gap fill on the daily chart. Okay, price was making very nice bounces off this level here. Right, price was making very nice bounces off this level here. I saw that the price is making a very beautiful flag breakout, as you can see, right? Over here, a flag, all right, breakout. So I took my entries over here. Stop loss is under 28 cents. Somewhere near this bottoms, 28s, right? And then, we got a nice move to 33 cents. Price went down. Okay, looks like it wanted to break down, but trend was still holding on. We did not lose the uptrend, right? EMS was curling up. And, see, this is the type of thing, right? When it comes to stuff like this, right? Do not try to think you know what's going to happen, right? Let the market tell you. Sure, it looks like shit over here, right? It looks like shit over here, right? And then suddenly things change for the better. So just let it ride. Don't try to control it. And I think if you look at the 5-minute chart, okay, in 1 minute maybe a little bit noisy. So that's why you look at the 5-minute. We have a very nice trend on the 21 EMA as well until it suddenly broke down, right? And then lost a bit of structure. But initially speaking, the trend was actually very nice. I would say very, very, very nice, very slow trend. Right? It wasn't anything exciting because okay, why was this not exciting, guys? What do you guys think? Even though there's a lot of volume over here, why was this not exciting? What could be one of the reasons? Right? It's because there is no catalyst. Right? There's no justification for this to be up so high. It's not like this is Chinese, And we traded this before back then when this thing went from 10 cents to 1 plus, remember? All right, this one very crazy day. This is the only ticker that was running, right? But there was no catalyst over here, right? There was no justification for this to be running up so that high today, but the volume precedes everything. So it still made a very nice move, but it wasn't as crazy as before. Right? Before, there was a catalyst, you guys remember. But this time there wasn't any, so it is what it is. All right? But still a very, very nice move, right? Isn't it? Is it not a nice move? It's a very nice move. Okay, so there is that, right? Then after that, CYCC over here, I think I told you guys to look for re-entries. As long as it's $11 whole, right? I was pretty much running this 50 EMA trend line. If you guys can take your entries at $13 over here and never stops under $13, that's fine too. You can see this is where the bounce was happening. We also had this little minor uptrend that was created on this point, right? See that? And then once price broke through this ascending triangle breakout over here at 1460, right? Price actually went up. I just needed a little bit more confirmation, right? This is where we had a huge, right? We had a huge drop. Okay, so this top over here for me is going to be a strong resistance level, right? It might be because this is such a huge drop, right? There might be orders over here that are sitting true. You know what I mean? There might be some missing orders over here that did not get filled, right? So once you broke out from it, you can see that nice breakout under the 15 90s 80s level, right? We had a huge growth to 925. Now again, look, if you put aside the fact that this thing 1959, if we put aside the fact that this thing did not hold for so long, this was you take your entries over here, right? This was a $3 move in this was a $3 move in 1 minute. How is that not good? You literally got caught in the hole up. When you open up, you're up $2 plus $3 a share. That's crazy, right? That's actually insane. Okay, so now the next thing I want to address is, right, for those of you guys who knows how to trade or you want to use my information to look for re-entries, you guys can actually do it, right? I want you guys to really look at this, okay? When I say that something has to hold for bounces, you can look for dips near that level and scalp it up if you want. But I will not guide you guys on that because I don't know who is taking it and who's not taking it. Right? And if you, let's say for example, this is green over here, you sold everything and this thing holds down. Right? What did I say? I said if it holds 14, we can see more. And let's say you sell everything over here. Price went all the way to the 1484. Now, again, right? You this uptrend was holding on over here. You can see the $14, the bottom of the uptrend, right? If you tell me that you take your entries at 1480s and you scalp it up over here, I mean that's good. That's why not. You know what I mean? But you gotta know when it loses 14, you close it off yourself. You gotta know how to manage your own re-entries over here then. Right? Because a lot of you guys over here do not know how to do that. Right? But it's very simple. If I were to say stop a $14 hole and maybe you're getting $500 over here, you can risk $100 on this, risk 20% on this, and then you can still get extra. If not, you lose 20%, you still get away $400. You know what I mean? right? So you see, you can still amplify your profits over here because this is still a move from $14 to $17, and at the end of the day, it still went up to 19. You can still do that, and maybe we could make new highs. You never know, but you could do that. But you have to know how to manage it on yourself. You have to make sure to keep yourself clean. Okay, all right. And last play did not work out. I wanted this EOD move, right? It never happened, and I closed off. See, even though it's short, it recovered a little bit, right? But I'm not interested in this anymore because my structure broke down. I'm not going to go about chasing this, right? Just because it looks like it's going to recover. So I took my loss and I move on from that. And you can see, right? Better than holding it all down to like 10 plus right now. Okay, right? And then after that, I didn't really see a whole lot of anything. I didn't want to force it. So, it is what it is. Right. So I adapted from yesterday's market movements, right? I adapted from yesterday's market movements. I realized that continuation moves weren't really the greatest, right? I still had to give CYCC a shot because of whatever happened midday. We also caught that move right there. But overall, continuation move wasn't really the greatest. So I would say that, like I said yesterday, it's not that the market is slow. The market is still giving us runners, right? But they're not as strong midday. And end of the day, maybe because there were a lot of runners, right? So there was not much focus. So when it comes down to it, what is the thing to combat this issue over here is by not over trading. All right, if you're green for the day, you're green for the day. Because look, let's say you miss CYCC today, or let's say you miss SQFT yesterday, right? There's CYCC over here for you guys today. So same thing. If you miss CYCC today, is there a chance that there might be something else for you tomorrow as well? There's a chance, right? So yeah, if there is nothing good, it feels forced. Okay, wait for tomorrow. Right, just wait for tomorrow then. Right, all you should just wait for tomorrow. There's gonna be new opportunities. All right, you'll be fine. Okay. All right. I just hope that. But yeah, the market's too hot. I mean, come on, look at this. Okay, let's answer some questions. How many shares did I take for CYCC? The initial entry at 11 plus, right? I only took 1,000 plus 2,000 shares max because I wanted to play around dips, so I couldn't size it so big, right? Because if I size it big, then I can play around dips and stuff. I mean, if I plan to not take dips, then I could size it heavy, but I was planning for this to drop a little bit before going up. Again, I wouldn't know, right? I can't see the future and stuff, but just to make sure that I still have substantial amount of profits if this thing goes up, I think I started with around 1,500 shares, just to get some skin in the game and stuff. Yeah, I started with around CTXR for me was just very, very slow. I think I'm just gonna pull it off. I mean, we did have a nice bounce over here from 164 to 170, but there was just no volume follow through. Right. This ticker, I mean, it hasn't been a very nice low grinder and all that. We do have a very nice basing action happening. I mean, a little bit. Oh, let me show you guys 1 second. A little bit of a head and shoulders happening, to be honest. Right, but so long as you do not lose this 155, it's still fine. You want to swing it, you can. You want to close it off, wait for tomorrow, that's fine too. All right, I mean, fine swinging it tomorrow, that's fine too. Okay. I aim to protect my investment by setting stop limit orders, but the market often hit stop. Again, I did say this before. Do not use stop limit orders. Right, use stop. If you use stop limit, sometimes your stop loss might not work out. Okay, I don't know what you talk about investments. We're doing trading here. All right, it's not good to really view this as investments. And I think throughout the entire video, I kept saying, right, I do not set physical stop losses because you don't want to get wigged out. And like I said, the market hit your stop loss, closing your position, and then it's soared. Oh, you have work at the same time. Then that's fine. All right, then that's a very responsible thing to do. Then you should do that. That's fine. Okay, yeah. Um, was there any re-entry potential around 1 p.m. on IXHL for you? IXHL 1 p.m. you say? 1 p.m. which is here. Probably this downtrend. I mean, like I said, right, the trend was holding on pretty well. You know, the trend was holding on pretty well, and if you look at the 5 minute, right, the 21 EMA trend line was holding on too. So I probably could have taken my interest over here at 32s and have a stop loss underneath 31, the 21 EMA trend line. Or I could draw a trend line like this as well, right? I could have my stops underneath 31. Yeah, that could have happened. You see, I don't alert every single move there is, right, guys? Because I said this before, I don't like to overtrade. Okay. So, but yeah, if I wasn't in IHL, I probably would have taken that. But I was in, so I'm okay to just ride my position. Oh, right. Nvidia guys, by the way, I mean, what's there to say? No. But again, this is a long-term hold for me. But we are up a lot already from our entries on the long-term investment channel. So I want, please guys, if you guys want to take profits over here and really buy yourself something nice, or you guys got to take it out to do something, please go ahead. Because I gave you guys a 97.2. And after I loaded this thing went down to 80 plus, and I did say in excess would be 80s. So if you guys ended at 80s, you should be up 100% already. I mean, that's an $80 per share move. That's crazy. Right? So if you wanna trim against your own money, please go ahead. All right, but for me, I'm holding this for the next 3 to 5 years. Uh, okay, you will not. People who sold miss this move. All I'm saying, right? Maybe 3 years later, okay, this thing maybe do this. I mean, you never fucking know, right? But yeah, okay. Warren Buffett just said it before, right? Maybe it wasn't Warren Buffett, it was someone else. I can't remember, but the big money is being made when you don't sell. But obviously, you have to make sure that these are good companies that we're talking about, right? I'm not talking about, oh hey, the stock has dropped, or rather, the stock has went from $4 to 156. But PPD said the big money is if I don't sell. So let me just don't. Nah, this is different. Okay, I'm talking about investing. I'm not talking about trading. It's very different. If one day Nvidia business change, right, and it's no longer good, and there's a lot of scandals or whatnot, it really just like become a 180 change. I would sell the company. I mean, I would sell the shares because there's no reason for me to be a shareholder of that anymore. It's not good anymore. But so long as there's no change to it, I don't see a reason why I should close my position. Right? Because the company is good, even they just resumed sales of the H20 chips, right? But you see, even if let's say the H20 chips were restricted, I was never worried about this. I mean, there's no way Nvidia is the company it is today just because of those H20 chips. Think about this, right? That H20 chips when people were panic selling, right? That was because again, people don't know. People run by emotions. But is Nvidia really the company it is today just because of those chips? It's not. So that was an opportunity, right? And I need one more of that again. Fuck. This is fucking way too high. I'm sorry, I don't do swing trades. I don't touch large caps for swings. I don't even do swings for small caps, so I can't really say anything for this. It's not really my expertise. So I probably would not be the best person to give you this advice. Okay, all right. Okay, hold on. Let me see something. So no, let's go. Okay, let's just go through some potential plays for tomorrow then. Now, all right. So very easy. Whatever runs after hours. Okay. Now look, IVP, pump, dump. Okay, sure. It made a move before because of the action down. I am not a fan. Right, this thing will suck its eggs. Onco, something going on over here as well. Back down. Not a fan. Game might provide something on this, right? So, I'm gonna put this on the watch list for tomorrow, 4 a.m. to 7 even. Right? That's how XAG came along, isn't it? Right. I'll also keep XAG because this trend is holding up pretty well. Um, let's see what else. RPTX had some news over here. Okay, remember yesterday there was this ticker called Grow that went high And the reason why I did not touch this today was because you see these companies are not low floaters, right? So I try not to really touch them. So RPTX is also one. It's not a low floater. Okay. So I'll loosely look into it, but I wouldn't like, stare my eyes at it. New Way over here. And the very nasty pump and dump earlier. It's some pattern use again, right? The sticker is always running on pattern use, but it's a super low floater on this. I'll just keep eyes just in case. All right. Okay, what else? What else? What else? A CTTH shielding scanner. That is IGNA. There is stop holder approval. Not a fan, right? Not a fan. This. You see, I don't like this kind of action. I like tickets with volume, tickets that can sustain. I don't like that. So a lot of pump and dumps this pre-markets. I mean this after hours. Not nice. I don't like it. It's not nice. Man, this thing can fuck off. I was expecting penny stock. KZR was running up. Now this one might be interesting for tomorrow. Might be interesting. So I'll still just do buys over here. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be a very interesting after hours. Maybe pre-market. DTST. Look, see, none of them have a lot of volume too. Right? This ticker might do something tomorrow as well. I want you guys to look at something. I want you guys to look at CYCC. Okay. So if you just put aside this over here. All right. If you look at CYCC yesterday, would you have thought that this was good to overnight? Would you? Would you guys have thought that CYCC would have been good to overnight when you look at this action over here? I mean, it's absolutely bullshit, right? But look at what happened the next day. You see? So, I could not like I don't want to guess because not every single play hey guys, okay. Not every single play that does stuff like this is gonna go crazy. But what I could do is wait for this flat top breakout, then I get volume confirmation, take my entries, have myself in the 420, might go crazy. So we might have that contender with DTST or maybe even KZR, but these things did have catalysts, so it might be different, right? This one also has a catalyst, so it might be different, but we'll see. Again, it's still a very early after hours, right? Maybe something might come up later at 5 to 6. So, but I have to go to bed, so I wouldn't be around to look at it anymore. Do you have a healthy routine after the trading day to reset after a bad day and come fresh and ready to take next day? A healthy routine. I would say I work out. I vent my frustrations at my muscles. Go and run. Go for a run. I would say going for a run is pretty calming for me. I would go for a run. Yep, I would go for a run. That's all I'll do. And then just work out. I just to share a little bit more